Thank you, extensive studio audience, and welcome back, fellow humans, to Cannabis Conversations today with your hosts, Michael Edward Browning and Dr. Regina Nelson. We're here with you today on April 27th, bringing you conversations about cannabis and citations from science every day on Friday at 4:20. So today, let's drop the topic and we're going to talk about poppin' beans, also known as growing from seed. Last year, when we were on the Plant a Seed for Cannabis education tour and we went to the International Cannabinoid Research Society 27th Symposium, we met a lot of young scientists and some amazing presentations. Dr. Nelson, of course, was talking about the medical recommendation, the medical cannabis recommendation, that is, and the integral experiences of doctors and patients when they go have this conversation. So I know we're going to talk seeds, but let's just check in with the doctor here real quick and see what she's talking about.
And what happens in Colorado plates are targeted on ways. And, even though they've come out now at a Supreme Court level and say you can't target marijuana for smell and or for license plate from a legal state, they're still doing it. So, I don't know, you guys. Sweet. And if you want to,
Ooh, right into the register with that. And now we'll move from Montreal to the streets of Toronto to speak with easily the hippest cannabis researcher I met in Canada, scientist Steve Narain.
Once I got all the approvals for everything, then slowly as industry, governments, and other people became more accepting, the university followed suit.
So that's where the research is done?
Yeah, that's where the personnel in the office are, and for the record, there's no plants in that building. Think about the ecology of the cannabis species and how it spread from East Asia to Europe before humans began migrating, meaning that there had to be some sort of mechanism of seed dispersal. Usually a seed's dispersed either by wind or by water or by some sort of animal intervention. We know that this plant, cannabis seeds, don't float, so it wasn't air or wind. What the other alternatives were zoo curry, which is dispersal by an animal, or hydro curry, which is dispersal by water. Both of them are theories that are generally accepted at this point. I wanted to dive further into the zoo curry, which is animal dispersion, mainly mammals. So the first question to ask is, can the cannabis seed survive a mammalian digestive tract? And here we had an in vivo as well as an in vitro study that shows that even at 1%, it still survives human digestion. At 10%, it survives canis, which is dog digestion. In vitro studies here were used to mimic the mammalian gastric and gastrointestinal systems, and the seeds survived those as well. Curious enough though, not only did the seed survive to germinate and produce a seedling post-digestion, it also produced that seedling faster. The germination rates were up to a day to 2 days quicker than the control groups. This is an observation that we didn't anticipate and we'll be looking into further. We might think of this as either there's a soluble germination inhibitor that's on these seeds, which would make sense in a wild variety where a seed for an annual plant drops off in the fall and then sprouts a plant in the spring. If that seed germinated too quickly, it would be killed by frost and it wouldn't survive for another generation. So what we're anticipating to find is in wild cannabis seeds, a layer of thin chemical compound that inhibits the germination or even the exposure to water. So either way, if we find this layer and what it is, it would support the thought of hydrocurry, which is the dispersion by water, or zoocurry, dispersion by animals.
Which has happened before, of course.
Apple seeds are a prime example. Bears eating apples, and there's also certain seeds out in the wild that require mammalian digestion to germinate. They won't germinate without it. So that's why an ancient plant such as cannabis that's been around for so long, we wanted to look into this method of dispersion. Not only is it a great scientific study, but there can be economic implications and developments through this.
Boy, I'll say, for much of North America, May Day is a benchmark for getting things outside. So if you're popping beans this week, you know what 2 days extra can mean for your seeds. Now, if you're a clinician and counselor who'd like to be trained in endocannabinoid system and cannabis therapy, then maybe you should consider becoming a clinician.
Doctors, these are AMA1 accredited CME classes, 4 hours. How many CMEs do you need to log this year? Check back next Friday for more cannabis conversations.
And what time is that again?
Well, 4:20, of course. Talk to you then.
Don't forget, West Coast.
That's time for the talk. Today.